Okay, so I want to tell you about a man who was completely alone in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. No land in sight, no rescue coming. His boat had sunk, and he had nothing except a tiny inflatable raft the size of a bathtub. And he survived like that for 76 days. 76 days. That is 2.5 months, completely alone on the open ocean with sharks circling underneath him every single day. His name is Steven Callahan, and his story is one of the most incredible human survival stories ever recorded. It started in January 1982. Steven was a 29-year-old boat designer who loved sailing more than anything in the world. He had spent years building his own sailboat, a small vessel he named Napoleon Solo. He was sailing alone across the Atlantic Ocean from the Canary Islands toward the Caribbean, a journey thousands of sailors make every year. Nothing unusual, nothing dangerous, just a man doing what he loved. 6 days into the journey, everything changed. It was the middle of the night. Steven was sleeping below deck when something hit the boat. A massive impact. He woke up to the sound of water rushing in, fast, too fast. The boat was sinking. He grabbed his emergency bag and barely made it out before Napoleon Solo disappeared beneath the surface of the ocean forever. He was now completely alone in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, at night, with nothing but a small inflatable life raft, a rubber circle about the size of a bathtub, and whatever he had managed to grab in those few seconds before his boat went down. He had some basic supplies, a few cans of food, some flares, a spear gun, a solar still, a small device that could turn seawater into drinking water using sunlight, and a book on survival at sea. That was it. That was everything between Steven Callahan and death in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And the sharks came almost immediately. From the very first day, sharks circled his raft. Curious at first, then aggressive. They would bump the bottom of the raft with their heads, testing it, sometimes biting the rubber. Every bump could mean a puncture. Every puncture could mean death. Steven had to repair his raft multiple times using whatever he could find while sharks circled beneath him in the dark water. He quickly realized his biggest problem was not sharks, it was water. The human body can survive weeks without food but only days without water. His solar still produced barely enough drinking water to keep him alive. Some days it produced almost nothing. He was constantly on the edge of dehydration. His lips cracked and bled. His body began to eat itself for energy. But Steven Callahan was an engineer, a problem solver. He refused to give up. He figured out how to catch fish using his spear gun. He learned which fish gathered under his raft for shade. Dorado fish mostly. He developed a routine. Check the solar still. Check for ships. Repair any damage to the raft. Catch fish. Eat. Sleep. Survive. He saw ships 9 times during those 76 days. 9 times he fired his flares into the sky. 9 times nobody saw him. 9 times he watched hope sail away over the horizon and disappear. Can you imagine what that feels like? Watching a ship pass in the distance, and knowing that nobody on board has any idea you are there, floating alone in the ocean, your flares burning out one by one with nobody to see them. But he kept going. His body was falling apart. He lost 1/3 of his body weight. His bones were visible through his skin. Salt water sores covered his body. His legs stopped working properly from lack of movement and nutrition. He was slowly dying, and he knew it. But his mind stayed sharp. He kept a journal. He wrote down his thoughts every day. He calculated his position using the stars. He estimated how far he had drifted, and figured out he was slowly moving toward the Caribbean shipping lanes, where there would be more boats, more chances of rescue. He just had to stay alive long enough to get there. On day 76, a fishing boat spotted him near the island of Guadeloupe in the Caribbean. The fishermen almost did not see him. His raft was so small and low in the water it was nearly invisible. But they did see him. They pulled him out of the water, barely alive, skeletal, covered in sores, unable to walk properly, but alive. After 76 days completely alone in the Atlantic Ocean with sharks circling beneath him every single day, Steven Callahan was alive. When he recovered, he wrote a book about his experience called Adrift. It became one of the most famous survival books ever written. He went on to design boats, consult on survival films, and live a full, remarkable life. He said later that those 76 days taught him one thing above everything else: that the human will to survive is stronger than any ocean, stronger than hunger, stronger than thirst, stronger than fear. That when everything is taken away from you, when you have absolutely nothing left, something deep inside a human being refuses to quit. And I think about that every time I feel like something in my life is too hard. Because if Steven Callahan could survive 76 days alone in the Atlantic Ocean on a raft the size of a bathtub with sharks underneath him, then whatever I am facing today is probably something I can get through. If this story moved you, subscribe right now, because this is what FactStruck does every single week. We find the most unbelievable true stories, on this planet, and we tell you everything. No fluff, just the real stuff. See you in the next one.